recording. We can like do a take two here, right? We good to go?
Sam?
Yes.
Wash up. I
Right.
like the insurance company.
Well, that's not gonna help. That's State Farm. Wash off.
Sam, we're ready whenever you are.
All right, rolling.
We're rolling?
Good evening, everybody. Sam Harrell here, Information Officer with the Alaska Incident Management Team. We're here for the Bootleg Fire Community Meeting. It's August 5th, 2021. We're having to do things a little bit different this evening because of the weather that we're having around in the area. There's power outages across a wide swath of the area. Communication links are down. Internet's a little wavy right now. So we're going to record this and then post it later so that as we were trying to do a live broadcast, we wouldn't lose the connection or anything. So we've decided to record this and it'll be posted later. So typical lineup as we've done before, we'll have a cast of presenters here who will come through from the Alaska team. We're also in the midst of a transition to an incoming incident management team who will be working in behind us. We'll take questions on the Facebook comments. It won't be happening live to be able to answer those questions as they come in, but my staff will be capturing those questions and we'll be responding to those on Facebook. So please use the comment sections to post your questions, and let's just stick to the fire concerns here so that we can utilize the subject matter experts that I have here in the room with me. So because of the increased activity in the area tonight, we're going to go directly here to Dennis Lee of the Oregon Department of Forestry. There's a lot of new starts in the area, and we'd like to give Dennis a chance to talk about what's happening there. And then we can get into the rest of our program concerning bootleg fire. Dennis, go right ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Dennis Lee, District Forester with the Oregon Department of Forestry. As Sam just mentioned, a lot of weather coming through this afternoon caused some lightning across the south central Oregon area. And so we're running initial attack on several new fires all across the area from Klamath Falls all the way to the desert to the east. So there's several fires going on. A lot of those are being caught at a very small acreage, 1/10 of an acre or so. But we have two of them going on right now that are of concern at this point. And one of them is south of Yannix Butte and east of Bly Mountain, called the Yannix Fire. Very fresh fire. We've been working on this since, I think it was just after 1 o'clock or so this afternoon. This is about 150 acres at this point, and initial attack resources are working on that. We have dozers, water tenders, aircraft, engines, all working that fire. The second one of concern is called the Walrus Fire, which is in the Bly Mountain subdivision off of Walrus Road. And that one is very proximate, but what we're hearing is about 50 acres. Also engines, water tenders, Bly Mountain, Klamath County Fire District 5 assisting with that incident. Dozers and aircraft also working that fire tonight. And so crews will be on that, on those fires and on any fires that pop up. As they get to us, these little larger incidents, we'll have crews on them overnight. We'll continue to work those and try and get them to a point where we can keep them as small as possible.
All right, thank you, Dennis, very much. So we'll get into the rest of our bootleg program here now. I've got with me Incident Commander Norm McDonald of the Alaska Incident Management Team. We have our Incident Meteorologist Chris Foltz with us, Fire Behavior Analyst Chris Moore, Ops Section Chief Brad Washaw will give us an update on what's happening with the fire. We'll also have a message from the Forest Supervisor of the Fremont-Wainema Forest, Barry Imler, will also join us and give us an update from the forest. And so let's get right to it now, though. Norm, if you could.
Thanks, Sam. Good afternoon, Norm McDonald, Incident Commander with the Alaska team. So we've been here about 2 weeks. I was hoping to come here today and talk about all the good work we've done, and there has been a lot. Our folks have been here. We transitioned actually with PNW2 just 2 weeks ago, and then we're looking at doing that again here tomorrow. But in our time here, we've been able to get around this fire. We're at just over under 90% contained. And even with the danger we had the last few days and the high winds today, the fire is holding its footprint that it currently is. So a lot of good work in the last 4 weeks by ODF, Forest Service, and the fire marshals when they were here. That all went to getting that containment. So really proud of the work that's been going on here and the folks that have been assigned to it. One of our missions while we're here, besides just working on the Bootleg fire, is to support both the Forest Service and ODF with initial attack. So today, like Dennis said, they had a real busy day with lightning on both north and south of the fire. So he's got all his folks out there. And from our incident, we have personnel, equipment, aviation assets ready to assess as well. So as we roll into today's shift, we make sure we have people holding the line on the Bootleg fire, but also move stuff around to assist ODF with their new starts. This evening, we'll have a night shift out there, making folks available on that south end of the fire to go support both ODF and the Forest Service as anything should pop up on either one of their jurisdictions. So part of our mission, like I said, is initial attack. Today was a day that we got tested and we're able to help out. We'll continue that throughout our stay, which is we turn over command to PNW2 tomorrow at 0600. So here in a bit, I'll introduce you to Rob Allen. He's been here previous. You'll probably recognize him from the last 2 weeks. But before I do that, I just want to say, put a thanks out to the communities. Had an opportunity to get around, get out there in the Silver Lake area, meet some of the folks up there. And the information that we provide you, I know is helpful for the communities, but also that feedback we get back from the folks out there, whether it's our cooperators or people we talk to out there, that helps us do our job. I use that when we're telling our firefighters why we're doing this. We kind of put the personal touch in there with the folks we talk to and why these values are important to these communities. So I appreciate everything you've provided to us. Been a real pleasure being down here and working in these communities and with the folks around here. Both ODF and the Forest Service have been outstanding to work with, and we look forward to working down here again if needed. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Rob Allen, let him introduce himself, or I should say reintroduce himself, and we'll be changing command here in just about 12 hours tomorrow morning. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Norm. Again, I'm Rob Allen. I'm the Incident Commander for PNW2. It's good to be back. Again, I thought we gave a real good handoff to Norm. Always pays to give a good handoff because you never know where they're going to hand it back to you. And you want to make sure that you leapt in the right spot, right? So try not to burn any bridges. We're happy to be back. Just so folks kind of know too, while we were here last time, there was a lot of competition for resources for us to try to grab stuff. 82 new fires in Oregon and Washington as of this morning, a bunch more as of tonight, 3 more new large fires for a total of 25 large fires on the landscape. Multiple type 1 teams have been ordered for Washington and for Oregon. So still going to be competition for us trying to grab resources. We're certainly here to help out ODF and the forest with initial attack and any new starts. We already know we've got a big problem where we are. We'd rather not get another one because what they do is just like Dennis has talked about. Hey, can you manage this one for us too? So we'll be helping to work out wherever we can to pick up these fires, as well as trying to get stuff back into the system for other areas that are having emergencies right now where fires are causing evacuations and homes and other things are a threat also. So happy to be back. It'd be great to get a chance to work with all of you guys, all of you again, and our cooperators, and just looking forward to another good round here. So thanks.
All right, good evening, everybody. Chris Foltz, Incident Meteorologist training here on the Bootleg fire. So I have to say in the 10 days that I've been dispatched this fire, today was definitely the most challenging that we've seen in terms of the weather. So we had a cold front that moved across the area, kind of sparked off those showers and thunderstorms that produced quite a bit of lightning. And as we've heard from Norm and Ron, we did get some initial attack that's going to be taking place overnight tonight. So, whenever I talked with you guys the last time, I talked a little bit about why incident meteorologists are called out to fires. So today I wanted to kind of share some information about one of the tools that we use as an incident meteorologist. So normally you think about airports having weather stations, but there are also what are called remote automated weather stations, or RAWS stations. And so these weather stations actually provide us a lot of information, and they can be placed anywhere. In fact, with the Bootleg fire, we actually have 3 different incident RAWs. So these are remote automated weather stations that were set up specifically for this fire. So there's one up on the northwest side, one on the northeast side, and one down south. And so as incident meteorologists, we're monitoring the output of those weather stations to help us understand. And today we certainly were looking at that to detect where that cold front was and figure out what the winds were doing behind the cold front. And certainly we're continuing to blow with some pretty strong winds through the evening hours tonight, and we'll see those winds start to settle down overnight. So the good news is we shift on to the weather matrix that we produce every day, and I showed this the last time as well. This is a color-coded chart that kind of looks at several different elements of the weather. So we're looking at relative humidity, we're looking at temperatures, we're looking at wind direction, the chance of thunderstorms. Those are all things that we have to provide information to the incident management team on so they can assess what the threat is. So as we're going out over the next 7 days, this is the one for starting tomorrow going out through next Thursday. The bottom line here is that we are going to continue to see elevated fire weather concerns over the next several days. So tomorrow, definitely a much better day, certainly a lot cooler than it's been the last few days, upper 70s to low 80s. We're going to see those temperatures start to warm though as we get into the first part of next week. So by the time we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we're likely looking at temperatures back up in the lower to middle 90s. Those relative humidity values will come back down into the single digits or maybe the teens. But the one difference is we're not going to see really strong winds, or at least the way it looks right now. Certainly that's subject to change. Brett Lutz is our incoming, our new certified incident meteorologist here. So he'll be watching the fire after I depart early next week, and he'll be providing any further updates on that. So with that, did want to also share, beyond that 7 days, we use some tools that help us look at the general trends for what the next week will bring. And so this is actually for the week from the period from August 12th through the 18th. So if you look at the graphics here on the upper left-hand corner where Oregon is, it's a pretty good confidence that we're going to see above normal temperatures during that time period. And unfortunately, we're also favored to see below normal precipitation. So it looks like that trend that we're going to see start to set up next week in the middle of the week is going to continue on for probably the following week beyond that. So unfortunately, not a lot of precipitation coming from the way things look right now. So appreciate your time, and thanks for all the support that we've been given here as an incident meteorologist. With that, I'll turn it to Chris Moore.
Hello, Chris Moore, Fire Behavior Analyst. So my job as a Fire Behavior Analyst is to work with Chris, the Incident Meteorologist, to try and predict fire spread, so operations has an idea of what's going to happen over the next day or the next couple of days. So in the last couple of days, we have very strong southwest winds affecting the Bootleg fire, and we've skated through pretty much unscathed. Fire behavior is dictated by 3 different things: the interaction of fuels, the things out in the forest that burn, the weather that Chris just talked about, and topography. And the way those 3 things interact determines how the fire behavior is going to burn across the landscape. So the last couple of days, these hot spots interior in these 2 sections of the fire on the northwest and the northeast parts haven't found any new fuel, so there hasn't been any rapid spread outside the fire line. There has been spread in interior pockets that are unburned, but so far it stayed in the perimeter of the Bootleg fire. Today, with the new starts and the lightning that's happening, the fire's been lightning hits places on the landscape. Those fuels are very readily available to burn over the last 2 years. As everyone knows in this area, fuels are extremely dry because there hasn't been a whole lot of moisture. So these little shots of moisture we've gotten over the last 2 weeks are not enough to put out the Bootleg fire, and they're also not enough to cause the fuels in the forest to actually absorb moisture and not be so critically dry. So every fuel in the area around here is available to burn except for stuff that's already burned in the Bootleg. So when a lightning strikes, if it hits some fuels that are dry, which most of them are, and there's some wind associated with that, and that wind, the topography and the fuels align, you start to see rapid fire spread. So if someone can get there in time, take that energy out of that equation, there is not a whole lot of fire spread. But if there's a lot of fuel, a lot of wind, and a lot of topography, that's a recipe for large fire growth. So overnight, the weather should calm down a little bit. RH, the relative humidity in the air, should come up. So those fine fuels are not as flammable as they are in the afternoon. and things should slow down. But then again, the cycle starts again, or tomorrow the cycle starts again, the sun comes up, it dries everything out, there's some wind, and the fire has the ability to grow. So people are going to be watching this as they go on, but 3 things need to come into alignment to get large fire growth. I'll be around for questions afterwards. Thank you.
Brad Washa, I'm one of the ops section chiefs with the Alaska Incident Management Team. And the footprint that we received the fire from the Pacific Northwest team is similar to what we're giving back to the Pacific Northwest team. And we're pretty happy about that, considering the drought conditions that have been experienced with this area. You know, it's had exceptional drought conditions. And with that, we had some major concerns when we first took over this fire, especially in the northern part of the fire, both the northwest and the northeast. This northern part, if the fire went beyond where it was located, it went to a roadless area, so we would have had a difficult time suppressing it. Plus, those fuels were very continuous. Same thing on this northeast side. We had very continuous fuels, and if it got established in there, it would have been difficult to suppress, along with having structures along the Summer Lake bed. So those were some of our concerns, and luckily, over time, we were able to mop up the fire, and it really hasn't grown a lot in size. We've actually mopped up close to 200 feet in some places from the perimeter. And then the last couple of days, we've had red flag warnings, not only today, but both Tuesday and Wednesday, where the relative humidities were really low. We had winds coming out of the southwest, and then we also had a Haynes index of 6. And that's an indicator of atmospheric stability and also the dryness of the atmosphere. And if you get a Haynes 6, a lot of times that's when we get those large plume-dominated fires like what was being experienced prior to our arrival here. Today's thunderstorms that came through produced strong gusty winds out of the northwest, so that again tested other areas of the fire. So we're feeling pretty confident with what we're leaving the Pacific Northwest team as far as where the fire sits. We still have a lot of resources on the fire, close to 1,400, and that's partly why the Type 1 team is coming in behind us with all those resources still to manage. Starting to look at doing some suppression repair on the fire itself. And then we also have initial attack responsibilities, and currently we have initial attack responsibilities in what's called the TFR, the temporary flight restricted area. So that's the area where aircraft are not supposed to come in, so we have responsibility for initial attack in there. We did have some smoke reports, and we are having resources check on those. We also this evening have a task force in Bly that's available in case ODF asks for assistance or other cooperators. And with that, I would like to introduce the Pacific Northwest incoming one of their operations section chief, Kyle Cannon.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I'm Kyle Cannon, Operations Section Chief with Pacific Northwest Team 2. It's good to be back to help out with the Bootleg fire, and look forward to keeping you all up to date on all the good work that's going on out there and picking up where Alaska left off. So have a good evening.
Good evening. My name is Barry Imler. I'm the Forest Supervisor in the Fremont-Wainema National Forest. Start by thanking Alaska team and PNW for the work they've done and welcoming PNW2 back again. So last time we met, gave some quick thoughts on where we were headed short-term, mid-term, and long-term on the forest. That's changed a little bit. We are now evaluating and addressing the public safety concerns. We're working PNW2 as far as some suppression repair work. We know that there's nationwide pressure for them to release resources elsewhere in the country. And eventually they're going to have to turn the fire back over to us to finish up some of the suppression repair. We have limited resources. That means that this is going to be a greatly extended period for suppression repairs, potentially in the next year. Related to that is the closure order. I know there are lots of questions about the closure order. I adjusted it this afternoon on the west side, bringing it into the Williamson River Road and the Williamson River. We'll be looking at adjusting the southeast corner within the next few weeks. Midterm, we're looking at suppression repair, emergency stabilization, infrastructure repair, and we'll continue to analyze the effectiveness of our past treatments. Long term, we're still going to be looking at the effects and the adjustments we need to make to our 5-year planning schedule, 5-year implementation schedule, and some reforestation needs. We've asked for some assistance from the regional office to help us identify the reforestation needs. I'm going to circle back to the closure order for a little bit. I know there's some things out here that are floating around in the community. I want to make sure that you hear the message from the person who's signing the closure orders. The current closure order will remain in place through most or all the fall hunting seasons. All forest lands within the order will be closed to entry, and use of the forest roads to access private lands is limited to the private property owners and their tenants. Public safety issues will not be fully addressed prior to the hunting season. There's a major need for hazard tree removal along the roads, road repairs, cattle guard repairs, and there's a potential for bridge repairs necessary as a result of this fire. So for the hunters out there, just to be more specific, the units affected. Silver Lake unit, the entire unit is going to be closed as far as federal lands and access to those federal lands for anybody other than private landowners. Interstate unit, most of the unit north of Highway 140 will be closed. And the Sprague unit, everything everything east of the Williamson River Road will be closed. If you have any questions, more than welcome to put them in, it sounds like through Facebook, and we will do our best to answer them. Thank you.
You have some questions here. My colleague Kyle Casey, also with the Alaska Incident Management Team, has some questions for Dennis Lee. Dennis, if you could come up and answer those questions, please.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. As you can imagine, people have a lot of questions about the fire near Beatty, and I believe it's west of Beatty. Do you have any intel on that?
West of Beatty.
Or do you have initial attack in that area?
There's initial attack going on all over south of the fire. The two big ones or the two ones of concern at this point are the Yannix fire, which is just south of Yannix Mountain, and then the Walrus fire, which is west of Highway 140 in the Bly Mountain subdivision area.
Okay, thanks. And then folks are asking about some more details on the initial attack resources. You had mentioned the dozers and the helicopters, but maybe just a little bit more into it.
So throughout the South Central Oregon area, despite the large fire that we have on the landscape and the bootleg, when the team gets here and starts to work the bootleg fire, they're calling in resources from all over the place, all over the nation to come in and help fight that fire. We keep initial attack resources locally to make sure that we can continue to fight fire when we get new starts. And so all the partners in the South Central Oregon area still have initial attack resources out there, fighting these new fires. So those include engines, dozers, water tenders, aircraft. We still have aircraft locally that aren't necessarily assigned to other places that we keep for initial attack. And all those resources are out being used right now. We try and keep folks as fresh as possible. We try and keep, not everyone is out fighting those fires. We always try and keep some additional resources available for the next one, because we always know that the next fire is going to come in at some point.
Great. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
You bet, Dennis. Thank you. Challenging afternoon. So that's going to be the end of our presentation. Like I said, we have recorded this and it will be posted. So please, as you're watching this video, put your comments, put your questions in the comments section, and we'll be monitoring those through this evening and on through tomorrow. So please place your comments there and we'll answer those best we can. And what we can't answer, we'll certainly seek out the answer for you and get it posted there. Really appreciate your time and thank you.